Now, in all our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash. And there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that.
That is such
a key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that.
That is such
a key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that.
That is such
yeah, it's an eye-opener.
I mean, he's making a statement there that sounds sort of technocratic and probably just goes over a lot of people's heads. But once you break that down, what that guy just said,
it's one of the scariest clips I've ever watched.
It's one of the, and this is the guy in charge of the Bank of International Settlements,
right? Which,
just so for people who don't know, I've heard it described before. That's the banker for the central banks, or something like that. These guys, this is the group that organizes all the central banks together. Correct.
Correct. The central bankers around the world can meet in Basel, Switzerland, where the BIS is headquartered, and they can meet secretly, and that's where they hatch their plans. And the BIS publish papers that tell which direction we're going with things like central bank digital currency. And the guy you just saw, Augustin Carsons, is the head of the BIS. He's the general manager. And you're right. He was totally technocratic, like that expression of central bank liability. What he means is it's digital cash. We know where every penny is, and we can control it. Every penny.
I mean, basically, someone from a central bank following you around everywhere you go, knowing everything you do. It's just insanity.
Right. And they can enforce he just said, they can make up their own rules and enforce them. So it's like, hey,
forget about laws. Forget about laws of individual countries. That's now
we're the law.
Yeah, it's like